Hello? Your name Fred?
Might be. What do you want?
It's funny, you know. The water's choppy, the weather bad, and I miss sailing more than ever. It's like they say, the sea is a cruel mistress.
I know what you mean. But listen, I've got a story you might enjoy. You're looking for Professor Doe, ain't that right? The scientist the Order kidnapped. I think we can help each other.
How do you mean? You know where she is?
Slow down, buddy. Helping each other is not the same as let me just tell you everything.
What is this order you mentioned?
Yeah. You don't know, do you? EOD. It really stands for the Esoteric Order of Dagon.
Dagon.
An old being from the depths of the sea. In books, they show him as a monstrous amphibian. The Innsmouthers worship him as a god. And of course, they make sacrifices to him. In blood.
Nothing's for free in this city, is it? Figures. All right. Shoot.
You won't regret it. You've seen some of this city now, am I right? You've an inkling what's coming? I want out of the Order and the city before it hits. Trouble is, it's much easier to get into the Order than to leave. Give the slightest hint of it, you've signed your death warrant. I need somebody to get me out of the city on the quiet. And that's not an easy thing these days, my friend.
I've no idea how to help you with that.
Ain't you a detective? There are people in the city, smugglers, who know what to do. Find them. That's how you can help. See, I've heard whispers about ads in the newspaper. A new ad every week, talking about Salvation Harbor. Maybe start there.
Smugglers, huh? Well, sounds worth a shot. Sure, I'm up for it.
Oh, thank you. I know where they gotta. You fix things for me, I can get you in. For sure. But hurry.
I know who's behind Professor Doe's kidnapping. It's an organization called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Most of them stick to the fish market, but they seem to have agents everywhere. Even the university.
I knew there was something fishy about the EOD, the den of those filthy Innsmouthers. I'll tear it to the ground.
Actually, most of the EOD members I met were locals. And for what it's worth, the only Innsmouther I spoke to was a nice guy. You ought to examine your prejudices.
Are you calling me a bigot, Reed?
Robert, listen. Something needs to change. You holding a grudge against Innsmouthers ain't making anything better for anyone. Those who fan the flames of hatred always end up burnt in the end.
They killed my son, for Kay's sake!
I know. But what did you do to prevent it? You made yourself their enemy instead of helping them. What did you expect would happen? You chose to brand them newcomers and leave them to suffer just like you did with me. The only difference is that I'm useful to you. No wonder desperate Innsmouthers would seek refuge from a radical organization like the EOD. They had nowhere else to turn.
I shall think about what you've said.
Back to business. I'll continue my search for Professor Doe. I have a promising lead. You have anything else to tell me?
Your task remains the same. Find Harriet and bring her back. You say we are dealing with an entire organization? Well, I have something for you that might help our cause should things take a turn. Now leave. I've heard enough from you.
Stay safe.
I've looked into your delicate matter.
Excellent. Don't spare me any details.
Glover's dead. He was killed by a man named Sidney Stokes, who happened to be robbing his place. And he wasn't working alone. He had a partner, Phil O'Connell. Didn't end up much better. All over some kind of mirror, apparently.
Truck. Where is the mirror now?
Their employer has it. Some mystery woman. I didn't get her name, but she obviously wasn't fooling around.
I see. So, my enigmatic competitor has finally shown her hand. And the thieves are both dead, you say?
Sidney Stokes managed to make it out in one piece. Now, if I had to guess, he's probably holed up at his home. Want the address?
I would welcome it. I'll take pleasure in, educating him on some, shall we say, essential truths.
All right. I've held up my end of the bargain. Now, it's your turn.
Of course, Mr. Reed. Here's your payment. Now that you know everything, would you accept the second part of the job?
Let me guess. You want me to track down the mirror?
Yes, and the one who so rudely snatched it from my grasp.
I'm on it. Only got one lead, though. Our culprit had a bone to pick with someone named Francis. Mean anything to you?
Ah, yes. That is without doubt my father, Francis Throgmorton. May rest his soul.
What's he got to do with this?
I found mention of the mirror in his records. That's what led me to take interest.
Your father was a prominent man. I'm sure he had enemies. Anyone come to mind?
None who would outlive him.
You mentioned your father left records. Mind if I take a gander at them?
The prospect of you rifling through my father's possessions does not fill me with joy, Mr. Reed. But if that's what you need, so be it. Take this key.
Seems an ambitious expedition. Like father, like son. Curious craftsmanship. These must be worth a fortune. I'm looking sharp, but I guess that's the point. "1891 must have been a busy year for Francis." Kid looks a little familiar. Your father led an expedition back in 1891. Do you know anything about it?
I'm not the best person to ask, I'm afraid. I was a babe in arms back then, and my father never made his findings public. It is a great shame, of course. His work would have turned the science of evolution on its head.
Yeah, I can see that. I had some questions about Bethany.
I beg your pardon? I don't believe I know anyone of that name.
Well, it came up during the investigation. See, your father divorced, and his ex-wife's name was Bethany.
Say no more. It is beyond my earliest memories. But even if it weren't, my father's business is his own. I shall not engage in gossip.
Have a good day. I'm looking for Bethany Throgmorton. You got any patients by that name?
We'd know if we had a Throgmorton. Although, we do have a Bethany. Or rather, we did. She's missing, and not on one of her usual walks.
Her usual walks. You let patients leave the building?
Oh, Bethany was harmless, and she always came back. This time, well, I've never known her to be like that.
You mean she broke out?
Yes, knocked an orderly out cold. She was out the door in a moment. It took us all by surprise. She's usually harmless.
Any idea where she went?
No. She had been odd recently, though. Muttering to herself, and she drew this strange picture on her bedroom wall.
That's interesting. Can I take a look at her room?
I suppose it couldn't hurt. She had a separate room downstairs. Here's the key, but do watch out for broken glass.
Bye.